Hello and welcome everyone. In this video, we are going to discuss the second part of the chapter, consistency and consensus from designing the data intensive application. We are going to cover the ordering guarantees in this video. In the previous part, you have understood about the linearizability, pros and cons of linearizability, and the CAP theorem. And in this chapter, we are going to see why the ordering is important. So let's begin. We have understood that linearizable behavior is where only one copy of the data exists and every operation occurs atomically at one point. It seems that one copy of the data exists, although there can be multiple copies. And this means that operation must be getting executed in some order. And there are many examples where this ordering applies. Let's assume in a case of single leader replication, the leader determines the order of writes in the replication log. That is, how the writes are applied to the followers, that is determined by the leader and that is in a particular order. Similarly, in serializability, the transactions behave as if they are executed in some sequential order, and it can be though achieved by literally executing the transactions in serial order or also by allowing the concurrent transactions but preventing serialization conflicts. Now the third example is using timestamps and clocks. So we have seen that using timestamps and clocks in distributed systems introduces an order in a disorderly system. So it means that there are connections between ordering, linearizability, and consensus. So let's see how ordering and causality are related. We have seen that ordering comes up very frequently and it is almost there in all examples. But why ordering is important? Ordering is important because of causality. So let's understand the literal meaning of causality. Causality means that there are two events and one of them is a cause, another is an effect. In other words, the second event is happening because of the first event. So let's take an example. A question and an answer has a causal dependency. So let's assume that there is an observer of a conversation who first saw the answer to a question before the question. So it may sound confusing to him or her that what that answer corresponds to. So it means that a question should be questioned first and then an answer should be there, rather than an answer first and then a question. So there is a causal dependency between a question and an answer. Also, during the replication between multiple leaders, it can happen that some writes can overtake the other writes due to the network delays. And one write is getting created and another is updating. But there would be a causal relationship that an update can only happen if the row has already been created. It means there is a causal dependency between a row getting created and a row getting updated. Similarly, in a concurrent write, it can happen that there are two operations A and B and there are various possibilities they can occur in any order. A can happen before B or B can happen before A or A or may be concurrent. So if A is happen before B and or B happens before A, then they are causally dependent upon each other. But if both of them are concurrent, they are not causally dependent because no one knows the presence of another. Similarly, there are many other examples like snapshot isolation or write skew for the causality. And causality imposes an ordering on events because cause comes before the effect. A message is sent before it is received. A question comes before the answer. Similarly, one node reads some data and then writes something as a result. So these chain of causally dependent operations define the causal order in the system, that is what is happening before what. And if a system obeys the ordering imposed by causality, then we can say that particular system is causally consistent. But keep in mind that causal order does not mean a total order. A total order allows two elements to be compared, but a causal order, it can happen that the elements are not comparable. So let's take an example. If we are given two numbers, let's assume 10 and 20, they are comparable because we know that 20 is greater than 10. But if we have two mathematical sets, A and B, C and D, they are not comparable with each other, and they are partially ordered because some elements in the first set can be greater than some elements in the second set, or vice versa. That is, some elements in the second set can be greater than the first set. So a partial order can be there, and partial order is incomparable. So a total order means linearizability, a partial order means causality. So in a linearizable system, we have total order of operations, and the system behaves as if there is only a single copy of the data and every operation is atomic. This means that for any two operations, we can always say which has happened before the second one. But in causality system, two operations are ordered if they are causally related. It means that one is happening because of the another, one is a cause and another is effect. But if two operations are concurrent, that is, one does not know the presence of another, then there is not any order between them. It means there is a partial order between some events which are causally related, but not between the events which are independent of each other. Hence, causality defines a partial order, not a total order, and there must not be any concurrent operations in a linearizable database. So if you see the example of Git version control system, the version history are very much like the graph of causal dependencies, because I can be working on my branch and making multiple commits, and some other can be working on the other branch making multiple commits at the same time, but we are not dependent upon each other and we don't have any causal dependency between each other, but all my commits might have a causal dependency. Hence the line of merges might not be a straight line but a zigzag of line, which means that there is a partial order but not a total order. We understood causality, but how we can track it? In an application where we have to make some write and the client is reading a lot of data before writing something, it is very hard to determine which writes is dependent upon which reads. Basically, which write is causally dependent upon which reads. So there is a way of tracking all the causality events, which is sequence number ordering. So sequence number ordering means we attach a timestamp or a sequence number to each event. That sequence number might not be a physical clock, that is, it might not be a timestamp, but it can be a logical clock or a sequence number which is getting increased. It means that when we have two sequence number, we can determine which is greater or which is lesser. That is, they are in a total order and consistent with causality. So if A event causally happened before B, then A occurs before B in the total order, which means that A has a lower sequence number than B. So let's take an example of single leader database. In a single leader replication database, the replication log defines a total order of write operations that will be consistent with causality. So the leader can simply just increment a counter for each operation and assign a monotonically increasing sequence number to each operation in the replication log. And if the follower applies those writes in the order they appear in the replication log, the state of the follower will be causally consistent. Now, in case of multi-leaders or leaderless methods, sequence numbers can create a problem, and how they can be solved, we'll see. So in case of multi-leaders or leaderless methods, there can be multiple nodes which can write. And in that case, each node can generate its own independent set of sequence numbers. For example, there are two nodes. One node can generate an even sequence number, another node can generate odd sequence numbers. But it can break the consistency with causality because sequence numbers generated by two nodes may not be consistent with causality, as well as each node might process a different number of operations per second. And the timestamps from physical clocks are also subjected to clock skew. Hence, the sequence number generated by multiple nodes can result in inconsistency with causality. So let's see how Lamport timestamps can solve this problem. So let's see another method which is used to generate sequence numbers that will be consistent with causality. So in Lamport timestamps, each node has a unique identifier and each node keeps a counter of the number of operations it has processed. So Lamport timestamp is a pair of counter and node ID. And two nodes may have the same counter value, but when we include the node ID, each timestamp will be unique. Now this provides total ordering because the counter value, one with the greater counter value is greater timestamp, and if the counter value is same, then the one with the greater node is the greater timestamp. So every node and every client keeps track of the maximum counter value it has seen so far and includes that maximum on every request. So when a node receives a request or response with a maximum counter value greater than its own counter value, it immediately increases its own counter to that maximum. So let's take an example. So here there are two clients, client A and client B. Client A has sent the request to node 1 and client B has sent the request to node 2. So they both are incrementing the counter value with 1 and they are concurrent operations. Hence the counter value is 1. But the identifier of each node is different. That is, for node 1 it is 1 and for node 2 it is 2. Hence the timestamp event would be 1, 1 for client A and 1, 2 for client B. Now client B sends further requests, hence incrementing the counter to 2, 3, 4, and then client A sends the request and it increments the counter to 5. Now there again are two requests by client A and client B at the same time where they are trying to increment the counter to value 6. Now the timestamp would be 6.1 and 6.2. So if we see the Lamport timestamp of this events will be 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 2 and so on till 6.2. Here 1, 1 and 1, 2 are concurrent events because the counter value of both of them are same, but for Lamport timestamp ordering, we consider that if the counter value is same, we take the event as greatest event when the node ID is higher. So here 2 is greater than 1, hence 1, 2 comes after 1, 1. So here 1, 1 and 1, 2 are concurrent operations because they have the same counter ID. Similarly 6, 1 and 6, 2 are concurrent operations because they have the same counter ID. Now these two operations can finish in any order with respect to each other. Similarly, these two operations can finish in any order with respect to each other. But Lamport timestamp enforces an ordering and this results in 1, 1 as a smaller event than 1, 2 and 6, 1 as a smaller event than 6, 2. But if you see, this Lamport timestamp has a limitation. It cannot distinguish between the concurrent events and causally dependent events, but version vectors can. Also, there are other limitations in Lamport timestamp. For example, if the two users are trying to create a username account and we want to identify a username uniquely, then two users who are concurrently trying to create an account with the same username, one of them should succeed and other should fail. And it seems that this total ordering of the operations will be able to solve this problem, but if two accounts with the same username are created, and if we pick the event with the lower timestamp as the winner, then we can fail the event with the greater timestamp. But there is a problem here. We can only order these events when we have collected all the details of the events, that is, after the events have finished. But if we want to determine and if we want to fail one event at the start, that is when it is beginning, we have to know that what all other nodes are concurrently executing those events, and then we need to know somehow that what timestamp will be assigned to them. So the problem here is that the total order of operations only emerges after we have collected all of the operations. So if another node has generated some operations, we don't know yet that how we can construct the final ordering of operations. So it's not sufficient to have a total ordering of operations. We also need to know when that order will be finalized. So if we have an operation to create a username and we are sure that no other node can insert a claim for the same username after our operation, then we can declare our operation as successful. So how we can solve this problem? This problem can be solved by total order broadcast. Total order broadcast is usually described as a protocol for exchanging the messages between the nodes. It has two properties, that is reliable delivery and totally ordered delivery. Reliable delivery means that no messages are lost. So if a message has been delivered to one node, it should be delivered to all the other nodes. As well as totally ordered delivery means that messages are delivered to every node in the same order. Hence, reliability and ordering properties are always satisfied in the total order broadcast, even if a node or the network is faulty. So the messages will not be delivered, of course, when the network is interrupted, but an algorithm can keep on retrying so that the messages get through when the network is repaired. So we have seen that if the program runs only in a single CPU core, it is easy to define a total ordering of operations because it seems that there is only one single copy of the database, and the timestamp or sequence numbers can be helpful there. But the challenge is how we can scale the system for higher throughput, that is to handle more number of requests, and that is where total order broadcasting comes in. There are many services like Zookeeper which implement total order broadcast. So there is of course a connection between the total order broadcast and consensus. So let's take an example. If every message represents a write to the database and every replica processes the same writes in the same order, then the replicas will remain consistent with each other. Also, you can say that order broadcast is a way of creating a log. That is, delivering a message is like appending to the log. Since all nodes must deliver the same messages in the same order, so all nodes can read the log and see the same sequence of messages. In other words, it is that order where the order is fixed at the time the messages are delivered, and a node is not allowed to insert a message into an earlier position in the order if the subsequent messages have already been delivered. So now let's summarize what we have learned in this video. We have seen the relationship between ordering, causality and consistency. We have seen how causal consistency differs from linearizability. We have seen two ways of tracking causality related events, that is sequence numbers and Lamport timestamps, as well as the limitations of both of them. And we have also seen what does it mean by total order broadcast. So I hope you have learned in this video various concepts and understood how the consistency guarantees work in a distributed system. Now in the next part of this video, we are going to cover the final topic, that is consistency guarantees and how they are related with ordering. Please feel free to provide your inputs or suggestions in the comment section below, and keep learning and sharing. Thank you.